Hello, everyone, and welcome to GreenBiz Studio. My name is Jim Giles, and I'm VP for Net Zero here at GreenBiz Group. And I'm very excited to have with me Josh Parrish, who is VP for Carbon Origination at Pachama. Hey, Josh.
Hi, Jim, and I'm excited to be here as well. Thank you to GreenBiz and all of the listeners for this opportunity.
Great. So we're going to talk about some of the work that you're doing there, but maybe let's kick off by putting some of the work you do in contrast with some other carbon credits that people might have heard about. And one of those is direct air capture. We hear a lot of talk about this new kind of credit. Just put it in comparison to forest carbon credits and talk about why corporations should consider forest carbon credits in addition to, or maybe instead of, direct air capture.
Sure, Jim. Sure. Thank you. And first, maybe I'd like to start out and just give 1 second Pachama overview. So Pachama is a climate tech company whose mission is to solve the climate and biodiversity crises by protecting and restoring nature. And so to your question, why forest carbon? Why forest carbon is part of your portfolio to mitigate and solve the climate crisis if you're a corporation. And or with direct air capture, really, we feel forest carbon is the investment you should be making today, high quality projects. First and foremost, because number one, they're available now. Right now, we can go out, we can protect forests, we can restore forests, we can, basically provide benefits for climate today. The other really big picture issue is, it's not just climate. I just coming off COP15 in Canada, folks with, thinking about biodiversity and people, because we are part of that biodiversity. The world according to World Wildlife Fund, the world over the last 50 years has lost 69% essentially of our richness, of our biodiversity richness, which is really, it's not a single canary in the coal mine, but it's many, many, many canaries and other animals in the coal mine, which points to this dual crises of climate and biodiversity. So the reason, so getting back to your question, why now? Why forest carbon? It's because it's available now and it can be effective, with high quality projects and using technology, and our implementation partners like Pachama have with our originals projects. And it also has these other co-benefits that without, the benefit, the climate and all of these other ecosystem benefits, really, it's not an either or scenario. It has to really be an and also. You need to do both. You really can't do one without the other, or we're going to fail.
So another thing that viewers might have heard about is the difference between avoidance and removal credits. And they might also have heard that some prominent organizations like the Science Based Targets Initiative have been pushing the market to move more towards removals. So talk a little bit about that contrast. Tell us why you think high quality avoidance projects are still important in comparison to removals, and also explain what is a good high quality, what makes for high quality in an avoidance project.
So first, in Pachama's opinion, in my opinion, in the scientific community's opinion, we need both. We need avoidance and we need removals. Both of them need to be high quality. And where we start is when you look at the science behind solving, climate, solving biodiversity, there's what we call the mitigation hierarchy. And the simple way I think about this is to solve this issue, to solve this problem globally, we need to first, protect from a forest perspective, our intact forests. Second, we need to improve the management of our working forests around the globe. So do it better, do it more sustainably, do it more sensitive to people, to nature. And then third, we need to restore. And that's where a lot of folks have gone, is the third, to restore. So reforestation, afforestation, restorations of degraded systems. The bad news is, there's a lot of work to do across all those realms. That's also the good news. There's a huge opportunity for us to help solve this problem with avoidance and removals as part of a portfolio. That's really the way I think about it, because we have to think about this like nature. and not like a one-off kind of picking off a menu. And getting to your question about what makes a high quality avoidance credit, really it gets down to the measurement. How precise are your measurements? It gets down to what we call additionality, and so that's usually the biggest question, and kind of a lot of the pieces that have been kind of against avoidance projects have questioned what we call kind of the but-for carbon. So but-for carbon, would this have happened anyways? So if it would have happened anyways, there's really no direct climate benefit. And what, technology like our digital MRV and other things we're bringing to, we're working on in what we call dynamic baseline, what we are building with others is for avoidance projects, the ability to basically look at the project that we're enrolling, and then look at surrounding properties and then measure their performance. So think of it as kind of like a pharmaceutical trial or classic clinical trial with a control and an experiment. And we're measuring that forward. And I think what makes a really high quality avoidance project, really is, excellent, quantification and accurate measurements. It's great, basically calculating that additionality and then creating systems with community and others to ensure like the permanence of basically what we're putting in place and saying is going to be there for the future. So those things all kind of together will create really high quality avoidance credit. And so, and with that, technology can help, build the trust, which is really around, pieces around, like I said, the quality, essentially the integrity, and then also the I'm blanking on it now. I know this can be edited, but things around, the transparency as well. So transparency in these avoidance projects as well is really critical, I think, because of essentially the ecosystem we have in these projects is, nature itself, the forest, but also people. And by having transparency, we create a system that is basically a positive feedback loop for all of these systems. And that's really critical for it to be successful into the future.
Got it. Thank you. And let's just finish our conversation by looking at things now from the perspective of a project developer. I'm certainly hearing that these developers face financial barriers in bringing projects to market. Tell us a little bit about those and what we can do to help project developers overcome them.
Yeah, so, right now, where we are at right now, the beginning of 2023, so Happy New Year, Jim, and folks at Green Biz. When you look at the projections out there, a growth of nature-based solutions in this market through 2030, we're talking about multiples of growth. And for the last 20 years, 25 years, we've been the project developers, the systems have been, for the most part, the same. You go out, we find the property, we measure a certain subset of trees, work with the community, develop what's called a PDD for the actual project, put it into a PDF with some spreadsheets and send it off to a Vera or another, body that does essentially the third party quality controls and has the standards. For the last 20, 25 years, that's worked. The markets have been relatively, globally speaking, to solve the climate crisis, small, very small, and they're getting much larger. So really, there's an underlying issue with essentially lack of technology currently, and then that equals cost and complexity for project developers. So if you're a project developer today, you're looking at, projects in the next 3 to 5 years, and you're going to try to go from 1 to 100. It's really hard to do that with the current systems that are out there. It's both costs and, finding staff to go out and do all of these on the ground, activities. And then it's also just throughput through the standard systems. Like it's actually getting projects verified and then validated and then credits issued. So, so the big barriers right now are around those things, paying to develop a project, and then the timelines to like from first kind of from going there first the whole way through to issuance. You're looking at years, and all of those things add up to risks, and then all those risks add up to difficulty with capital and other things to make these basically systems grow, and the landowners happy essentially that they're participating and getting a fair shake.
Great. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate you joining us today and untangling what are some really complicated issues. I know that it's not just me, it's my colleagues here really excited about the work that you're doing at Pachama. We will be keeping a close eye on it. I'm sure you'll be back to speak again at our events, and we'll be featuring on our website. But thank you today for joining us on GreenBiz Studio.
Thank you, Jim, and thank you, GreenBiz. Have a great day.